in charge of making sure everyone gets an education in Toon Boom. And then I make sure that I learn the program, and whenever there's an opportunity to showcase my knowledge on the program, be the first one to showcase your knowledge so that your image, it stops being the meek girl in the corner and becomes the knower, the go-getter, the shower, the one who gets things done. It's really important that you're aggressive about changing your image and you're conscious of the image that you're putting forward. As one of the two females on the group, the other girl, I'm so envious of her. She loves hockey. The other guys love hockey. She knows all about it. So I can't rely on that.
And Atlanta doesn't have a team.
She plays with the guys after work. I can't play hockey after work. I have to know my strengths and my weaknesses. And if you can't get in through the front door, you got to get in through the side door. So yeah, that's what's worked best for me is, being really aggressive and showing that I'm a producer and that, I'm innovative and I'm always trying to go for the goal.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm at a different stage in where I am in my art development, but just to speak on my personal experience, since mine is more so about balance, I really had to invest in myself and learn how to tell people no, not only when it came to time, but also money and just all my resources. So if that meant that I needed a babysitter, or I needed to put locks on my art room door, or even just set aside a space that was specifically for me and you cannot come in there because I'm working, or I have a time slot that I've already set up for myself, that for me was my biggest thing. And then also the investment of educating myself as an artist, and also on the business side of being an artist, because skills is one thing. Lots of people have skills, but do you know how to run a business and make money at it? And I'm still learning, but I've started on that process, and I know more than I did a few years ago. And, nobody wants to lose money or have their work stolen or not have their work respected, but sometimes you have to learn how to protect yourself as an artist. So, so that's what's working for me. Okay. I'm a work in progress.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
At this point, I'm going to open it up. Is there any questions anybody wanted to ask at this point? Yes.
I want y'all to engage, but I will start off. I think one of the things that we're looking for with this conversation is that everything I hear, I've heard it from other artists, right? Other people I admire, people who I follow, and it sounds like something that I need to do. But sometimes I need to hear it from somebody who knows me or knows my experience. And I think this was great about it, that you can go to any events, and I go to a lot of events, men and women events. I go with my wife to a lot of women events, and it's like I can tell someone or my wife something, and it still doesn't matter until she hears it from another one. It's like, that's right.
That's about marriage.
That's right.
That's a whole other topic.
Right. So this is great. I love it.
The bigger issue that I don't know if we as a team would have a solution to is the underrepresentation of women in the higher levels of the art world. I mean, the decision makers that are not, don't look like us, or very few of them look like us, and very few of us. The list of women that are selling at auction, they're living artists that are selling at auction at $4.3 million is one. Yes. So I mean, and there may be a couple of more, but it's a very small list. Now that's like, I want world peace. Okay, so it's a huge goal, but I would like to see, what would you like to see happen on not on a global level, but in this market here? What do you feel some of the things that need to happen?
Is it okay if I go first?
Yeah,
Oh,
Well, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, about the question. When you say this market, is the Atlanta market?
No, we're talking about the Atlanta market.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So when I hear that women aren't making as much money in the art field when they're being employed, they're making, was it 3/4 of the amount that they should be being made? They're not getting the gallery auctions and representation when they're going to exhibit. What I feel the real problem is, at the core, is the value of women. I feel like it starts when you're young, it continues when you get older. If you see women as less all the time, you see women's basketball, women's this, women that, and whenever it's women, it means it's less. It means it's softcore. It means it's the smaller, submissive counterpart to the male. Then you're going to think women are less. And when you go to buy art, even if it's not the gallery person, limiting your art or making it less than the other person, it's the person saying, do I want a woman on my wall or do I want a man on my wall? What's going to impress my guests? And it'll be the male on the wall because you just assume that the male painter is better or his value, just internal value, is better. And I see that when people are hiring, you go to a job and when women negotiate for jobs, I'm sure you've all heard the statistics, that nearly 60% are turned away because they negotiated. Whereas when men negotiate, it seems like they're go-getters and they're not being pushy or overbearing. Though there are studies now that say that when a way around that is when women negotiate, don't negotiate for yourself. That women are more widely accepted as negotiating for other people. So you say you're negotiating for your company or for your family or for your husband or for your children. And when men are negotiating for other people is seen as weak. You should negotiate for yourself. So I think that for short term, we could try going around and negotiating for others. But at the end of the day, we have to think about improving your brand and really take a serious stance into changing the value of women. And that starts with changing the value of yourself and how you portray yourself to others. I love how you're saying when you're in a group and if they don't respect you, you're out of that group. But when you leave that group, don't feel like, oh, now you have no group. You need to start your own group and you need to be aggressive about it. And you need to lose hours of sleep and you need to make the sacrifices that people have to make to change the world.
And that's what I was just thinking as she was speaking. In other industries, that's what they do, is that if you don't quite have the opportunities that you want, you start your own, and then you pull up other people behind you, and you create opportunities for them. So all that other stuff is great, but sometimes you don't ever fit in, and you have to make your own way.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Okay. Question?
I had a question for you. You were talking about art and manager and the different ways you plug in your art. Can I have a list of all of the different ways? Because you were talking about passive income and...
I mean, because I really want to talk about branding. I'm glad you brought that up. I want everybody to look at yourself as a brand. Everything is, they say we should model after people we look up to. Yes, do that, but I'm all about doing you. So really look at you and what your creative offering and what you have to, what's unique about you. And I really love, we have so many great resources in Atlanta. I'm a big advocate of C4Atlanta.org. They are a nonprofit as well, here to specifically help artists with business, and they have boot camps. They have this Ignite program that just blew me away with the content that was available there. I know Burnaway has some things if you want to check out what they have. But really want to look at your brand and what do you stand for? What's so unique about your brand? And the brand thing is great because you can create yourself and reinvent yourself any way that you want. Like for us, we're a love-based organization. We only do win-win deals. If we're negotiating for you and me. So we can do this over and over again. And just really look at what do you stand for? What do you believe in? What is your, I hate to say corporate culture, but your branding culture? What do you want to speak for and stand for as a company, as a business, that you want to say this is who we are and what we stand for? So the brand equity thing is where it leads into everything else. So again, you know, we make our original works off of our paintings, but once that painting is gone, you never see it anymore. But that copyright is yours forever, you know, until you know, all the copyright laws kick in. But you know, what you could do with that is, you know, you can take that same image and put it on greeting cards, put it on shirts. I had mine on shoes at one point. You know, you could do limited edition prints off of that. You know, look at all the ways, what can I do with this one image, you know, and brand it, and just brand yourself. Like, you know, with artist names like Young Bai and everybody else, that's an original brand in itself. So the next thing I did was, well, how do I want Young Bai to look as a brand? So I had this vision, I got with my graphic designer, and we came up and we redid our logo. You know, so once you have the logo together, now I'm trying to get with my graphic designer for other, you know, marketing collateral. So when you're out there, people can recognize your logo, and just think about, how can I expand off of this? You know, again, there's, you know, publishing. Once you have that image together, it would look great in a coffee book, right? You know, and you can do your own books. There's a lot. I'm all about the do-it-yourself thing, because in that way, you don't compromise your artistic integrity at all. You can do whatever you want, and then find the audience for it, and nobody's going to tell you, oh, you can't do that. It's like, yes, I can. Who says I can't?
Sure.
You know. So does that answer your question of like thinking all the different ways that if you want to, like, I love soap. I'm into soap making. I was talking to my manager the other day. I was like, I want to come out with corn flour soaps. Wouldn't that be so fancy? And women would love that. And she said, I mean, that's like the kind of thing that you can expand out to. You know, whatever you want to do, you can put your name and creativity on it.
Yeah, that confirms I'm on the right path.
Okay.
So, yes.
I'd like to piggyback on what Pam said, because we talked.
This is my
conversations.
homegirl. We love her.
We've had these conversations
Yes.
before. And, you know, I've said to you that the new model, that that's the thing, that we have possibilities of new model. The likelihood that any of us is going to make $4.3 million selling anything, at least for me, is probably pretty close to zero. But you can think reasonably about, you know, where you want to situate your life, your space, the things that you want that will move you forward, and things that you can develop that will continue to keep you interested, and also to keep you developing, you know, other new ideas. Because I think that that's one of the things that kills an artist if you are in the fine art world. And I'm saying fine arts because there's so many different ways of making art. It's not just in the museum. And you have such a wonderful opportunity now, we do, in terms of the internet, in terms of, as you say, print media. It's becoming easier and easier to get work out and get it out into the public than it was before. And I know for me, I've got a similar story to yours, you know, is that, you know, I just really got tired of the gallery system. I just felt like it was just, it was offensive for someone to think that they could take, and I remember my teachers at Atlanta College of Art said, you know, telling me that you make a painting, half of that painting goes to the gallery, so you're splitting your work right down the middle. Do you think that's fair? And I just felt like it was just absolutely not fair, especially when these folks are selling things maybe once or twice a year. You can't live off of that. So what I had to do, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying, I had to go inside of myself and really figure out what it was, what was the core of me, what was the essence of me, what is the thing that I really, really, really enjoyed doing. And that thing was helping people. That thing was working with people and helping people. And so I came up with a whole nother model of creating public art. And that's a whole nother world, the public art world. There are public art commissions that are out there. As a matter of fact, when you plug Fulton County Artists Registry, which is open now, you all can go in, anybody can go in and register. You can put your slides up on that registry to be considered for public art work. And I just finished a big commission with Fulton County. So it's things like that, but I developed the Journey Projects. And the Journey Projects is basically looking at healing in communities. And how can I use my artwork to help people heal from some hurt? And if you're in the business of helping people, you can make money. There's money to be made because you're giving something. You know, whenever you give a part of yourself, something is going to come back to you. It may not be in the form of money, it may not be dollar bills, but something is going to come back to you that's going to keep you moving, that's going to move you into